session so that others will be able to view. Our housekeeping rule, the session is recorded. It will be made available for future viewing. Kindly mute your microphone when you're not talking. Pen down your questions until the Q&A session. You'll have our social media and just for you to follow us and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our code of conduct we encourage respectful listening. We also encourage that everybody is allowed to speak. We also encourage that we avoid blame, speculation, or inflammatory language. We promote openness to points of view and increased learning. We also encourage that ideas are criticized, not the individual. We also encourage that you commit to your learning, not debating, and then to listen respectfully and actively. So I'm going to start with, like I said, this is like a recap of all of our session that we've done. This is like the last session we're going to be having. So we started the first week of this cohort with, our week one was to describe the cloud concept. And some of the things we said is that the cloud computing is all about delivery of cloud computing is all about delivery of services via the internet, computing services to be more precise, computing services over the internet. And we made mention of the various ways we've been using cloud computing, even unknown to us. One, our ATM machine is a very good example of cloud computing, because at the end of the day, or when you are even doing your transaction over the internet, when you want to transfer money, you are actually doing a form of cloud computing you do not know, because the bank is actually delivering a service for you to consume over the internet. And that's what we decided, we started with. And we went on to define the concepts around the cloud, that there are concepts around deployment models, and also deployment models and service models. When we talk about deployment models, really, we talk about, this talks about how you provision and manage your cloud resources. And then we have those deployment models to be public cloud, which is like an offsite infrastructure with a third-party management. An example would be things like your Microsoft Azure is a public cloud. Again, another cloud process that is an example will be Amazon. It has its own cloud process. It has its own cloud. Also, Google, Citrix. These are all examples of public cloud. Then we also talked about private cloud, and a private cloud, like we talked, private cloud is actually on site, which means it is in your own data center with your own management, or it could even be an off-site private, which means infrastructure with a third-party management. So I give an example of an off-site private infrastructure. You can talk of some like Rackspace, MTN data center, One. These are people that are private. They offer private cloud, which means you can actually host your resources on their own site, and then you can consume it from there. Then we talk about the hybrid cloud, which is actually a combination of private and public cloud, where this is mostly useful are situations where you have people saying that I am not ready for the cloud yet, but I feel that there are some of my workloads I can take to the cloud. So they operate both a public cloud and a private cloud, which means they manage some resources on their own premise environment, and then they still take some to a public cloud, like probably maybe Azure, which is Microsoft public cloud, Amazon, Google, Citrix, and all of that. And then another reason why you can have hybrid cloud is probably maybe for compliance. Regulatory or compliance reason could be one of the reasons an organization can decide to say, I do not want to go to the cloud completely, to the public cloud completely. So I still want to see some, because the regulatory requirements, or maybe the requirements of my organization, says that there are some sensitive customer data that I should still keep on premise and I should not expose to the public cloud. So some people would do this hybrid cloud when they consider that scenario. Then again, we talked about service model. Service model actually identifies the way the cloud is built. The services that the cloud offers is delivered. So we have software as a service, we have platform as a service, and we have infrastructure as a service. So when you talk about software as a service, you are mainly what consuming. An example will be Microsoft 365, your Office 365. And an example would be your Gmail, your Yahoo. You are mainly consuming, you are not doing anything. So that's why we have examples like email, CRM, ERP solutions that are hosted in the cloud. Then we have what is called PaaS, platform as a service. So platform as a service means that the cloud provider is actually providing you a platform for you to build your own application on it. So where this is mostly very applicable is where you have, like, maybe you have your own application and then you require a SQL, a database, and you build your application on it and all of that. So you see, mostly the people that use this are for application development. Video streaming is an example. Then we have infrastructure as a service, which is referred to as IaaS. Infrastructure as a service is more of saying that you want to migrate your IT environment to that cloud platform. So it's mainly the same thing, like just saying that I set up my IT environment, but the difference in this case is that the cloud provider is the one taking care of the of the networking, is the one taking care of maybe the data center, the cooling, and all of that. Even networking, you do take care of it. Let me be honest. Security management, you are the one managing it and all of that, maybe. But in terms of the availability of the platform or the environment where you are, where your infrastructure is hosted, you are the one taking, the cloud provider is the one taking care of it. So in situations like infrastructure as a service, what you have mostly, which I will just talk to, I'll break it down a little bit later on. What you will have mostly in an infrastructure as a service environment will be more of you creating VMs. VMs in this case, I mean virtual machines. So you create virtual machines. Like I said, it is as good as you setting up your own infrastructure, your IT infrastructures, but then you're not doing it on your on-premise. You are doing it off a platform that the cloud provider has offered you. And then I also remember saying to you that the concept of cloud computing is actually built on virtualization, which virtualization refers to how you consolidate several workloads on VMs. You can buy a giant kind of servers with enough specs, hardware specs, maybe in memory, in a lot of memory, hard disk, cloud computing resources on it, and you now decide to collocate a lot of servers, a lot of VMs on it. And that is most time to save on cost of hardware, cost of cooling, cost of management, and all of that. But there is one interesting thing when you talk about the cloud, and that is the shared responsibility model. Now, the shared responsibility model talks about what is being managed by the cloud provider and what is being managed by you, the consumer of the cloud computing, or what the provider is. Now, when you see this legend, it talks about what Microsoft is the one managing. That is this light blue. The deep blue talks about what the customer is managing. And when you have a combination of the light and deep blue, you see this is a shared response, which means it is both Microsoft and and the customer that is managing it. So when we talk about software as a service, which is the SaaS, you find out that everything about the information and data, it is actually managed by the customer. So you can see here, say responsibility always retained by the customer. Things like your device, your devices, your mobile and PC is managed by the customer. The accounts creation, the identities, the groups, users, group, and all of that, maybe service principals that you create, is actually managed by you. But when it comes to identity and directory infrastructure, it is managed by both what Microsoft and the customer. Then in terms of applications, the network, the operating system, the physical host, the physical network, the physical data center in a SaaS environment, all of that is managed by who? By the cloud provider, which is Microsoft. So let's move to platform as a service. In platform as a service, you as the customer, you are the one managing what? The information, the data, the device, the account, and all of that. But what you and Microsoft has actually shared, you share in the identity and directory information, you share on the applications and the network control, sorry, and then the rest is actually shared by what Microsoft. When it comes to operating system, physical host, physical network, physical data center, Microsoft will take it. And then infrastructure as a service give you more control. If you look at it, you see, when you talk about responsibility mobile, for this actually guides how you want your cloud, how you want to provision your cloud or the services, how you want the services of the cloud to be delivered to you. So your responsibility model, that's the advantage of it. If you look at infrastructure as a service, you remember what I said, infrastructure as a service gives you more control. So you find that all the way from the operating system to networking to applications, identity, accounts, and all of that is managed by you. And the only thing Microsoft is only managing is what? The physical host, which is the server hardware, because the network, they have to do all the networking for you, and then the physical data where you host. So this is a place, this is more of saying that I want to, that's why it is you migrate your IT environment. So it gives you more control. Then the on-premise environment, definitely you are the one managing everything, you as the customer, because it's on-premise. That means it's your own data center, which is you are the one managing everything. Now, let's look at some of the comparison around the cloud model on public cloud. Definitely, one of the things you need to be at the back of your mind is that when you in public cloud, no capital expenditure to scale up. And you can actually provision applications or deprovision it easily. And then the beauty about public cloud is that organizations pay only for what they use. So take it like more of what, like your DSTV. But then the problem is that with DSTV, whether you use it or not, you will pay for it. But take it again, even your service provider, your MTN, you still whatever you use. So but the best way I can say public cloud here is more of take it more of your electric bills, because that what you consume is what you pay for. But in private cloud, hardware must be purchased for startup and maintenance, because you have to, it is on your premise. Organizations have complete control over the resources and security. Organizations are responsible for hardware maintenance and updates. And hybrid, like we said, is a combination of both, because it provides you with the flexibility. Organization determine where to run the application. So you can decide to say, oh, this application I want to run it privately in my private cloud, which is on my on-premise, and then I take the other one to public cloud. Then organization also control the security, the compliance and legal requirement. Remember what I said, most times people go into this hybrid cloud mostly because of security, compliance, and the legal requirements. And so let's look at some of the benefits of the cloud. We talk about high availability. High availability focus on ensuring maximum availability regardless of disruption or events that may occur. So the cloud offers you the cloud also offers you scalability, which actually refers to the ability for you to adjust the resources to meet the demand. So you can decide to say, oh, I am not consuming this much in a month, I can reduce my payment, or I'm consuming so much, I increase it. So that's the scalability there. Then again, the cloud offers you reliability. Before I go to reliability, one of the things you have to understand with scalability is that sorry, one of the things you also have to know about scalability is that you have vertical scalability, scaling. Let me use the right word. You have vertical scaling and you have horizontal scaling. So what's the difference between the two? Why I'm repeating this is that these are things that comes out in your exam. So you have to get it at the back of your mind. With vertical scaling, you will only do what you will only increase as needed, maybe in terms of more processing power. So you can vertically scale up to hard, like maybe let's assume your application requires more processing power. So you could vertically scale up to add more CPUs, you get, or to hard RAM. But horizontal scaling means that probably maybe you have more traffic coming to eat your application. So what you can do is that you can now spin up another one. So why vertical scaling can only do probably with you scaling just the resources that you have. Horizontal will mean you want to what? Add an additional instance of that, maybe that VM or maybe that application that you have already spin up. So what will happen is that you can now share load. So you see the difference. So if you have, you can actually increase your workload with horizontal scaling. So you bear that at the back of your mind. Then we talk about reliability. Reliability is the ability for the system to recover from a failure and then continue to function. So this is one of the pillars of Microsoft Azure where architected framework. So if that's one of the things Microsoft says, that our cloud environment, which is the Azure, is actually reliable. And then is reliable in the sense that you can be guaranteed that you can recover from any failure. I mean, it can recover from any failure and continue to work. Then we talk about predictability, which lets you focus on performance, so to say, or cost. You can predict your cost. You can predict the performance of any application that you are using or you have put in there. Then you security, which Microsoft also offers you with the cloud and all of that. So a lot of these are cloud benefits we have to take to heart. But let's talk about, I told you that we've talked about infrastructure as a service, the service model, but I want to bring it home again in case I see that some of you are new here. So I want you to look at this. I'm going to use it in the form of pizza. So I will want you to listen to me and then in the form of pizza and use it to explain to you. So let's say at home, traditionally, let's say at home you want to make a pizza. And then traditionally at home that you want to make this pizza, let's take it as your on-premise environment. So ideally what you will have is that you have the dining table. You have the cheese sauce, the cheese that you're going to use for the pizza. You have the toppings on the pizza. You have the tomato sauce. You have the pizza dough. You go and buy it from the market, all of that. You are the one that will be responsible for the fire, for the oven, electric gas, soda, dining table where you want to even eat. So all of this, cheese, topping, tomatoes, and pizza dough, all of it is what you will provide yourself. And you can see the legend here. Anything that is in blue, you are the one managing it. Anything in green, it is for the vendor. And so I want you to just pay attention. We want to use pizza as a service to understand what infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So we know on-premise, made at home, you didn't go out to buy. Let's now assume you want to go and buy in you want to go to where you want to go to a I think it's even available today. So if let's say maybe you go to somewhere like ShopRite and you can buy from ShopRite the cheese, the toppings, the tomato sauce, and the pizza dough. But then what you need is that you come back to your house. When it comes to the fire you are going to use, you are the one responsible for it. The oven, the electric gas, the soda, the dining table, you are the one that is going to responsible for it. So this is as well as is the same concept of what infrastructure as a service. So in this place, you are the one taking care of from fire to the dining table, but the vendor is the one taking care from the cheese, toppings, tomatoes, and dough, you know. So this is like is a take and bake. Now let's look at what platform as a service is. So I go today to say, I go to Domino Pizza, and then I say Domino Pizza, I buy my pizza from them, and then I tell Domino Pizza that, okay, just give me pizza, and then I call for them to deliver it for me. So they deliver it, but I told them, don't worry, anything around the soda, I will be the one to take care of it. And then I provide my dining table. So you can see Domino Pizza is the one that took care of the cheese, the toppings, the tomatoes, the pizza, the fire, the oven, the electric gas. So the only thing they just did is what? To deliver the pizza for me. So I have my own soda that I would drink to take the pizza, and then I have my own dining table. So this is what platform as a service. Now let's assume that all we want to do, me and my family, is that we want to eat out, we want to dine out. So we go to Domino Pizza. Domino Pizza is the one doing what? Taking care of the cheese, the toppings, the tomatoes, the pizza, the fire, the oven, the electric, the soda, the dining. So it is what? Software as a service. I do not have any inputs there. So you can see, like, on premise is like your own made pizza. So you make it from the scratch. You do everything yourself. No change, no charge, nothing. You are the one taking care of it. But when it comes to infrastructure as a service, you share like a kitchen with others. So the utilities, the ovens are provided by the people that are making it, but you make and cook your pizza yourself, you get. Then platform as a service, you order the pizza from collection, you go, you say you call pizza, Domino Pizza, deliver this pizza for me. Domino makes it, they cook it, they use all their facilities, and then the next thing is that they deliver to your house, you use soda, and then you are the one that take care of the table. But the other one is that let me go out and just eat it with my family. I don't want to take care of anything. So the table and all of that, that is what software as a service. So if we want to relate it more, yeah, this is the version 2 you get. So it's also the same thing, but version of because infrastructure as a service, the major one are what? The major service model of the cloud are what? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. But we have other ones as what? Container as a service, we have function as a service, we even have a lot of things that are now as a service, but I'm just focusing. So you can get to check this version 2 again, you understand. So that's the end of week 1. This is all of the things we looked at week 1. So if you relate this infrastructure as a service, platform as a service to what I taught you earlier as of infrastructure as a service, you now see that it makes sense in all of the things that has been discussed so far, because you now have your on-premise, it is you that manages it. Software as a service, the only thing you take care of is more of the information and data, but a lot of the things are taken care of by the Microsoft Cloud. Infrastructure as a service, you can see you do more of the work. Less work is of the Microsoft, which is the cloud provider. So that is what it is like. So week two, we started off week 2 with describing Microsoft 365 apps and services. And so we started off by talking about what Microsoft 365 is. And then we described Microsoft 365 as an application, a SaaS application that brings together the best-in-class productivity apps from Office 365, and then with advanced device management, intelligent security, and innovative online services. So before Microsoft 365, we used to have what is referred to as Office 365. But Office 365 is more of a productivity apps. When we talk about productivity apps, we are talking about things like your Word, your Excel, your things like Outlook. Those are productivity apps. Any apps that enhance your productivity in work, your PowerPoints, they are all productivity apps. But beyond that, that is just Office 365. So Microsoft now decided to say that, okay, all these productivity apps that people are using, at the end of the day, they are going to be using it on devices. So why don't we think about device management and bring it? Then when we talk about device management, how do we secure all of these applications that people are accessing on the devices? Because what we want to encourage people to do what BOYD, bring your own device. We want our workers to be able to say, consume any of these resources from wherever you are. And then we already know that Microsoft 365 is an example of a what? Of a SaaS service, because the software as a service, software is being delivered to people. They are consuming email, they are consuming productivity too. So how do we bring in intelligent security into this? And then again, how do we enhance online, how do we bring about innovative online services? So Microsoft looked at it and said, oh, so let's rebrand this. We have Office 365, but since we're going to be looking at device management, intelligent security, and much more innovative online service, we can as well rename everything to be what? Microsoft 365. So when you are asked what is the difference between Office 365 and Microsoft 365, they are not the same. Microsoft 365 is Office 365 actually is a component of Microsoft 365, because Office 365 only deals with productivity apps, while Microsoft 365 now deals with the advanced device management. With Office 365 coupled with advanced device management, intelligent security, and innovative online services. And you can see Microsoft 365 help drive productivity, collaboration, communication securely across many devices, whether you are at home, in the office, or out of the field, or on go. So or on the go. And these are the three pillars of Microsoft 365. One, productivity, collaboration, and what? Secure communication. So in a more to explain it further, then we talk about the difference between Office 365 and Microsoft 365. So you can see Office 365 is a cloud-based services that includes applications such like your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint, your Outlook, along with services such as what? Microsoft Exchange. Microsoft Exchange is the back end. Outlook is what you're using to consume what is Microsoft Exchange giving. What Microsoft Exchange is giving is the email services. So this is where your email services reside. You're only just using Outlook to consume it. So Outlook is like the client. Microsoft Exchange is like the server. Then you have SharePoint, which is what you use for your intranet portal. You can actually use it also to share documents, and then for document management, and then to collaborate with people outside the organization. Then you have Teams, which is what? Like a platform, a hub for communication and collaboration. You can see what we're doing with Teams today. Teams is what is actually allowing us to do this meeting. Teams is allowing us to make calls. Teams allow us to do video. It's actually what we're using to do this session we're doing. And then you have OneDrive for business. And OneDrive for business is what is referred to as your own personal My Document. Before right now in your system, you have My Document, but in the cloud, your OneDrive for business is what is referred to as what? My Document, where you can keep all your document that is personal to you. So when people are asking you what's the difference between OneDrive for business and SharePoint, your OneDrive for business is like your own personal storage, while the SharePoint is actually for the whole organization, and it can also be used to collaborate with people outside your organization. Then OneDrive for business is actually sitting inside your SharePoint. So bear that at the back of your mind. So when they're asking you what's the difference between SharePoint and OneDrive, then now that is on Office 365. Then when you look at the Microsoft 365, like I said, is a cloud-based service that includes all of these, plus Windows 10, which is what? Windows 10 is what is the operating system and the devices, and enterprise mobility plus security. So then EMS, we call it EMS, which is a mobility management and security platform. Now, other things that are included in M365 is what is the Windows 365. Remember what we talk about. Windows 365 is a cloud-based service that automatically creates a new type of Windows. But in this case, instead of you to have your regular PC, it is actually what virtual machine. So and it is called what cloud PC. So I can decide to say for operational, for management, and to reduce cost, I can decide to say instead of me having everybody to buy PCs for people, I can actually do what Windows 365, and they will have the same setting on their desktop. They will see their documents, but the only thing this time around is that they will use a URL. So they will type in a URL to see. So it means that your PC follow you wherever you are going. You don't really need to have you don't need to do what have a physical PC for you to be able to access all your documents, all your desktop and everything. You can just go to someone's PC or maybe even on your mobile phone. Check the URL and you will see every content and you can work. So like it said, it is what a cloud PC, and it is a type of Windows virtual machine. So then we have, and then I will went through this. I don't know whether you guys, I know there are some of you that are new on this call. I don't know whether a lot of you went through this. We went through this together, how to set up the M365 tenant. If you did not go through it, I'll just show you another example. Let me see if I can click on. So let me see if I can quickly. But I gave that. But there was a guide. There was a step-by-step guide. So you can actually go to Google. Let me see if I can come into Google here. So you can actually go to Google and just say, you can type in and say you want to sign up for M365 developer. So if you type in this, you will see developer program M365. So once you click on this, the first thing is important for you to have is that you must have a Microsoft account. So your Microsoft account can be outlook.com or your ultimate.com. I also realized some people use their Gmail as their Outlook account. No problem. All you need to do is just have an Outlook account, and then with that you can sign up for the M365. So once you sign, you go to this is the same place I'm in right now, which is the Dev Center. Sign into you can see, you just follow the option of say join now, and when I say join now, maybe my own it will not bring it out because I've already, I know it will not. Okay, it may, I hope it. Okay, because I've already signed off, but if it does, it will tell me to sign in to see, you can see it asks me to sign in to an account with an account that I have. So you can decide to sign in with an account, maybe your Microsoft account. So if you have a Microsoft account, sign in. If you do not have one, you create one, and then you move through all of the process. So it's going to give you a E5 subscription. So if you look at last week that we were showing how to create user, if you do not have your M365 tenants set up, you will not be able to. So this is the step-by-step for you to set it up, which is one of the things we covered while we're having our class, and I hope that some of you are aware of it. If you are not aware of it, so please revisit it. There is a step-by-step guide that we share that you can do all of that. This was a week 2 exercise, although we even started with a week 1. Yes, Shegun.
The setup of E5 subscriptions, I can see, is it F or EF or F5, whatever. What are the difference between these subscriptions platform, like E5, EF, or F5, something like that?
So we'll come to that. All right. That's a good question. We'll come to that. All right. So, but your tenant is E5. That's what Microsoft gives you with the developer subscription. This is the highest level of Microsoft's Office 365, I mean M365 plan. This is the highest, and the reason why they gave you the highest is because they want you to be able to test around all of the products in your own test environment, which is what they've given you. Okay. So let's move on. So hopefully, then again in week 2, moving on, in week 2, we talked about the other productivity capabilities and benefits of M365. And we said that, and we talked about if you want to create content in real time, the Office apps that can be useful for you to do that will be Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. If you want to access files and photos anywhere, your OneDrive for Business is the ideal application you can use. If you want to collaborate through online meetings, chat, and calls, then Microsoft Teams is the handy one for you to use. If you want to stay connected and organize your calendar, your emails, we talk about Outlook. If you want to set up dates, if you want to stay up to date through business class email and calendar, we talk about the Exchange services, which is what you use Outlook to consume. When you talk about optimize and simplify operations, we talk about project planner, bookings, to-do forms, list, and all of that. Then other things to streamline everyday processes. Maybe you want to build applications, you want to automate your process, then this is what you use Power Apps and Power Automate. Then again, in that week 2, we're able to look at what are the tools in M365 that can help you with work management. And we look at Project, which is a cloud-based work and project management to design for more complex work efforts. We look at Planner, which is also a task management tool that enables people to plan, manage, and complete task-based initiatives. So we use Planner before now, Planner, we used to have tasks. So you can use Planner to assign tasks for people. Then we have Booking. So if I want to share my calendar with you for you to see the available time that you can book a meeting with me, this is the best application to use. Booking is an appointment scheduling and management system. We have To-Do, which is a task management app that makes it easy for me to plan and manage my day. So I can see all my to-do list. I can add to-dos for myself. The forms, you see that we've been asking you to take assessment. What we've been using to create the assessment is what is Microsoft Form, which is an app that allows you to create survey, quiz, polls, and other types of forms to capture information. Then we have List. It's an information tracking app that gives you a way to organize information and walk through creating list. That's the end of week 2. So let's talk about week 3. This was a mistake. What I intend to put there was benefits of M365. We talked about, yes, which is more, we talked about chat, call, and virtually meet with your teams using Teams, collaborate on files in real time, OneDrive. Then we talk about Yammer. We said Yammer is more like your private or your corporate Facebook. The way you use Facebook today is the same thing that Yammer is doing, where you can network and engage with people across your organization. The only difference is that now Yammer only allows you to collaborate with people. It's like your Facebook, your corporate Facebook. Then we talk about SharePoint, which is like our intranet. We share news content with people inside and outside the organization. Then we talk about how you can use Microsoft Stream to distribute videos across your team and organization, Exchange for email and calendar, Outlook for you to stay connected and share your availability. And then we talk about Viva. Viva is actually the newest of Microsoft product that you use to empower people and teams to be at their best. So furthermore, we talk about Microsoft Team as a collaboration app, a hub for teamwork. Some of the things we have built into Microsoft things are security and compliance, online meetings, you have Teams and channels, we have Teams phone, we have chats and instant messaging and collaborative apps. Then the different types of Microsoft Viva we have. We say Viva is an integrated employee experience platform. So let me give a little bit of background why Viva. When organizations started, when during the COVID-19, many organizations were asking, how do we know that our staff, how do we track productivity of our staff? How do we even get an insight to the work they are doing? How do we know that they are really working? And then how can we track what they are doing and all of that? So Microsoft developed this product during the COVID-19 period called Microsoft Viva, which is actually is an integrated employee experience platform designed for everyone to learn and grow. So we have Viva Connection. Viva Connection is used to discover relevant news, conversation, and quick access to tools and resources. Then we have Viva Engage, which is used to openly share. Under Connection, you have Viva Connections and you have Viva Engage. And then Viva Engage openly share, isolate, problem solve, and contribute across boundary. Then you have Viva Insight. What Viva Insight does is that it provides privacy protected insight and actionable recommendation. So it has insight to all of my activities. That is why it says privacy protected insight into all of my ability, and then gives me recommendations that I can use, or even my boss can use, to see how I'm faring. You know, during the COVID-19, a lot of people were having burnouts. They were having a lot of depression. People were going to depression. They were having burnouts from work and all of that. So Microsoft Viva gives that kind of insight to what my boss can see that I'm doing. If I'm doing too much, I'm spending so much time on emails, or I'm doing so much time on of meetings, and then they can see that I'm working over even during close of business, and I'm doing a lot of meeting. It can actually give my boss an insight to see how to manage me, and also even me to manage myself to avoid burnout. So under purpose, you have Viva Goals, which is a goal settings and objective and key result management solution. Then under growth, we have Viva Learning, which is actually a centralized learning hub designed for skill building and learning. Viva Topics also falls in that, which is a knowledge discovery through organized content and expertise on topic pages. Then for role-based, we have Viva Sales. Viva Sales is a seller experience application that is actually used to help sellers boost productivity. With Viva Sales, you can actually integrate it with dynamic CRM. So you have dynamic CRM sales and dynamic CRM marketing. These Viva Sales actually integrate better with them. But you have insights out of the box. You have Viva Insight out of the box, but it is not full-fledged. But for organization that wants to have a full-fledged insight to all of their team members, they can buy all of these. They all come as a suite of products, and then they can also buy it as add-on. So I talked about Yammer already, and I said Yammer is a secure enterprise social network designed for connecting and engaging people across the organization. In one word, is your corporate Facebook. And then what are the things you can do with Yammer? You have leader engagement, where your organization leaders can communicate as a skill with a communicate at scale with a site for leaders to share news, blogs, posts, and all of that. Then modernize employee communication, create compelling communications with rich text and keep everyone informed. You have Yammer for knowledge sharing, where people can share knowledge, best practice, ideas, feedback across the organization. Yammer also allow you to engage your employees by providing a community for employees. You can meet and greet, find and join people that are just coming to the organization for the first time. They can have a place where they can meet and then they can connect all together. Then you can actually power communities in Microsoft 365, where you can engage in discussion through Outlook, and then you can collaborate on Office files and bring communities also to SharePoint. Now, M365, we're still on M365, and with M365, And with M365, we talk about endpoint management capability of Microsoft 365. You remember that we talk about that the security aspect of M365 is what? Enterprise mobility plus security, which is EMS. So Microsoft 365 enables you to simplify the management of your devices, whether be it an Android, iOS, Windows, or Mac device, through the endpoint management solutions. And the ones we have is what? Microsoft Intune, which is a cloud-based unified endpoint management solution. That is actually what you use when you want to enroll your device. You can use Microsoft Intune to enroll your bring your own device, that is, or corporate, whether it is corporate owned device or your or the devices that your staff owns. I mean, your users, they own their own devices. You can use Microsoft Intune to enroll it and then put some conditions in place, and says that probably maybe when they're leaving the organization, you can wipe out all your own corporate information on those devices, and then they will still have all their other information on the devices. So there are two things under Microsoft Intune. You have mobile device management and mobile application management. So mobile device management means that you are managing the whole device, which means that this is applicable when you are the one that when the company is the one that has the device. So you give your staff the device. So you wipe. So in a situation, you can wipe out every content in that device. Maybe if the device is stolen, or probably maybe the staff is leaving. But the other option, which is mobile application management, I'm still talking about Intune, is that you are only managing your corporate applications that reside on the device. So it means that this is the device that your own staff owns themselves, but the applications that you allow them, your corporate applications that you allow them to use on your device, which is like your email, your Teams, your SharePoint, your OneDrive, when they're leaving your organization, you're only wiping out those applications. And you can do it in such a way that even though they have Office, their own, so you create like a segment. You can create a segment to say on your mobile device, applications that are personal can be used and applications that are corporate can be used. So you can prevent it in such a way that people cannot copy from the corporate applications and copy into their own personal application. So it will tell you that it is against the organization policy for you to copy. So you use Microsoft Intune. Now, coming down to on-premise, the same thing Microsoft Intune is doing, you can do it so with what is called Configuration Manager, or SCCM. It's an on-premise management solution. Then you have co-management. Co-management is where you can decide to say, oh yes, I have devices on-premise and I also have in the cloud, but I want to combine both my SCCM and Intune. So I use this to call what? Co-management, to be able to manage it together. A lot of organizations during COVID-19 was using this co-management feature. So because, initially they were managing their devices with Configuration Manager on premise, and when offices have to shut down and then people now have to be working from home, so they fall back to co-management, where they are managing some features with organization with Configuration Manager, and other features now decide to start managing with Microsoft Intune. Then tenant attached is a combination of cloud and on-premise endpoint. So it is just still how you manage your cloud and on-premise endpoint. Then we have endpoint analytics, which provide metrics and health of performance of your devices. Windows Autopilot. So during the COVID-19, even before COVID-19, you can decide to say that when people buy new PC and then immediately they log into the PC, or probably maybe they sign into the PC with the cloud credentials you've given them, it will automatically provision a Windows operating system, get them pre-configure all their devices, and that is done with what? Windows Pilot. Then we have Azure Active Directory, which manages the identities of the users, the devices, and the group. Remember, all of these things that we do in M365, we have what? we have users created, we have groups created, we have devices that are connecting to access this information. So what manages the identity of you as of the users, the device and groups is Azure Active Directory. And I want to pause a little bit here because a lot of time we mix up Azure Active Directory, we mix it up with Azure. Azure is the cloud platform. Just like Google, Amazon, we have their own cloud platform. And each of those cloud platform, they have what is referred to as their identity provider. You cannot, so today, when you sign into Google, you enter username and password. When you sign into what they call it, Yahoo, you enter a username and password. The same thing when you sign into Microsoft or maybe Hotmail or Outlook or anything on M365, you are entering a username and password. Just like Google, all of them have an identity provider that is storing that your username and password. So that by the time you come in another time, you will check through his database and say, oh yes, this name exists there. So the same thing also, Azure is the cloud platform where you have all of the services that Microsoft ever renders, whether it is M365, whether it's Dynamics 365, whether it's Power Platform, whether it's anything at all. But then it also has its own identity provider, which stores the username and password of as you are coming in to access that. And that identity provider is called Azure AD. So a lot of people mix Azure AD with Azure. Azure is the cloud platform, while Azure AD, which is Azure Active Directory, is what is the identity provider. So please take that to mind. It's actually a lot of people miss it up. They has this simple question, even in an interview, and people miss it up. So endpoints, then let's go to endpoint management administrator. This is where you add users, group, create and manage policies. So that is the end of a recap of what we had in week 2. In week 3, we decided to look at M365 security and compliance capability. So we wanted to delve more. You can see in week 2, we dealt with more of the applications and we dealt with device management. Now in week 3, we wanted to look at more of security and compliance. And we started off by looking at what Microsoft Azure Active Directory, which is now a part of Microsoft Entra. And then we said that Microsoft Entra is the product family that encompasses everything now in Microsoft that has to do with identity and access management, and it also includes the Azure Active Directory AD. And you can see here in this picture that you have Azure Active Directory here. For anybody that is coming from the cloud, devices that are authenticating, business applications or partner, even your on-premise application that probably maybe you have exposed to the Azure environment, you can see that Azure Active Directory is doing what? It's doing a form of an identity provider authenticating it. So we said Azure AD is a Microsoft cloud-based identity and access management services. And what it does is that some of the capability is the organization can enable their employee, guests, and others to sign in and access the resources they need via Azure Active Directory. It also provides a single identity system for their cloud and on-premise applications. Remember, I said you can actually expose your on-premise application to Azure Active Directory. One of the ways you can do that is what we refer to as Azure app proxy, application proxy. So maybe necessarily you do not, I don't want to, because I'm trying as much as possible to keep it as simple because of the audience I have. I know a lot of you are beginners and I don't want to digress so much so that you don't think too much on the bigger, but just let it just suffice you. Maybe in the future you will get to know it, that when you want to expose on-premise application to Azure, you just use Azure App Proxy, you get. Then you can also protect user identity and credentials to meet an organization access governance requirement. So this is where the real story is. Each Microsoft 365 Office 365, even Azure, which is the cloud platform, and Dynamics 365 online subscription automatically use what? An Azure AD tenant, because you need to do what? You need to authenticate the users that are accessing the resources residing in M365, whether in Office 365, whether in Azure or Dynamics, anything at all you want to access, you have to go through what? Azure AD, because it has to authenticate that you have an account, a username, and a password. Then we talk about conditional access. And then we say conditional access is actually a control you put in place where you feel that probably if something conditional, so it comes, we have access signals and access controls, where you can actually say is that if this user, these are the signal, maybe you are coming from this location, then probably the control you want to put in place is that maybe you want to require MFA, you want to allow access, or you want to block access. So these are the different things. So it is like an if then condition. If this happened, then this should take place. That is what conditional access is. So you can actually put conditional access signals like users or groups, name, location, device, application, real-time signing, and then risk detection. So let me be more practical about this. So let's assume right now I sign in from Lagos, Nigeria, and in 10 minutes later, they see that my sign-in location is from Russia. Is that possible? Then something says to my admin that, oh, my account has been compromised. Because even then, if I travel, there is no way in 10 minutes I will be in Russia, you get. So what conditional access says that if I am coming from a location, maybe an high-risk location, let's give Russia as an example, even China, those are, I mean, the Russia, all those kind of high-risk location. What I can ask is that I can either say is that if a user is coming from such location, or somebody is trying to access an application from such location, or maybe a device is coming, I can either allow access, verify, you can see verify every access attempt. I can either allow access or require MFA. And MFA is what you are, what you have, or probably maybe what you know. So I would say, give me another thing, another level of authentication, just like your ad token that you use today if you're doing a back transaction. That is the same thing as MFA in a layman. MFA is still the same thing. Multi-factor authentication is as good as me describing to you that when you sign into your bank account, it tells you maybe you want to do a transaction. Give me another level of authentication that you are really who you are. And then you bring your hardware token and then you input it. So the same thing is also with MFA. So, and then we have the Microsoft Authenticator app that you actually use to do that. You can even decide to say, oh, if that person is coming from this location, block the access immediately. But if you don't want to block access and you want to allow, you can say, but before I allow you, give me another level of authentication, and then the person can do what? Access the apps, the data, and the applications that you have published. Now we talk about Microsoft 365 Defender services, and we talked about that Defender services are services that coordinate the detection, the prevention, investigation, and responses to threats. And we say that there are 3 types of them. 4 types of them. We have Microsoft Defender for identity, for endpoints, for applications, and then for your email. So you see, Microsoft Defender for Identity is the one that is Microsoft Defender for Identity that handles everything identity. Microsoft Defender for Endpoints are the ones that handle anything like your endpoints, like your applications, you know. Identity is you as the user, the individual, but yet when you want to access applications, before you get to application, you need what? The endpoint, which is like what the device is, whether it is mobile device, whether it is your PC, to access it. And then so you want to do what? Access the application. And the application in case could be what? Your email or any of the collaboration tools. So you have Microsoft Word Defender for Office 365. So any applications in the cloud, we use what? Microsoft Defender for cloud apps to manage it. Then for endpoint, Microsoft Defender for endpoints, and then Microsoft Defender for identity to manage your identity. And then these are the different the M365 Defender for Office 365 covers them. For threat protection and policies, when you look, so I'm taking it one after the other. So Microsoft Defender for Office 365. Now it comes in flavors. You have threat protection policies, Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 1. So you have Plan 1 and Plan 2 for any Microsoft solution. So see what it can do. When you have the Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 1, you have Save Attachment, which says that any attachment that comes with your email, you will scan it and be sure that it's safe. What about links or URL within your email? You have Save Link, which you also do what? Scan it and be sure that it is it is clean, that there is no malicious code that is wrapped around those links. Then you have Save Attachment also for your SharePoint. So it is not only on emails, you also have it for SharePoint, for OneDrive, and even any attachment that is sent through Microsoft Teams. Then you have anti-phishing protection with it and real-time detection. However, for Microsoft Defender for Office 365 plan, you have all of these, and then inclusive, you have threat trackers and threat explorer. You have an automated investigation and response. You can also do attack simulation, where you do a simulation for an attack to see the response of your users, really. You can actually do proactive hunts for threat, investigate incidents and threats. So you can see you have reports and then threat investigation and response capability more in what? In Office 365 Plan 2. And then the availability is actually what? In M365 E5. Office 365 Defender, you can get it in M365 E5. M365 E5 will contain what? Office 365 E5 Plan 2. Even Office 365 E5 also will contain Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 2. You can see all of these. Then Microsoft 365 Business Premium will only have Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 1. So the higher the plan, then the higher you will have the Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 2. So you can have Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 2 in both Office 365 E5 and M365 E5. But so that's some of the things. I'm not too sure about the Office 365 E5. I really don't know, but I want to believe that maybe it's Office 365 Plan 1. That is, but A5 seems also to be the highest. So there is the likelihood is that Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 2 is what it will have. So Microsoft 365 Defender for Office covers 1, threat protection, policy reports, threat investigation and response capability, and automated investigation and response capability. Now let's look at Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. It's a platform designed to help enterprise network protect endpoints. And then what does it offer? It offers threat and vulnerability management, attack surface reduction, endpoint detection and response, automated investigation and remediation, and Microsoft Threat Experts. So you have opportunity for you to be able to review results with Microsoft Threat Experts and see actually what is the trend of cyber attacks that is going on. So you have Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. Remember, we said it is only to protect applications in the cloud. So this provides rich visibility to your cloud services, control over data travel, and sophisticated analytics to identify and combat cyber threats across your Microsoft and third-party cloud services. Cloud, it cannot go to on-premise. So the Defender for cloud apps does what? So if you know anything that is called shadow IT, shadow IT is probably maybe you are using an application and then you have several of those applications. So you have several applications doing the same thing across your network. So it helps you to discover and to discover shadow IT and then to control the use of shadow IT. Protect your sensitive information anywhere in the cloud, protect against cyber threats and abnormalities, assess your cloud apps compliance, and it gives you this cloud. So it does this, what is called the cloud discovery. Look at all the applications your users are doing, what are consuming, and then be able to rate it. And then if there is any form of application that is doing the same thing, which is called shadow IT, it will also let you know. So it gives you like this visibility into what is going on with the applications in your network. And finally, we have Microsoft Defender for Identity. And then with Microsoft Defender for Identity, is actually covering you as a user. So identity covers user. Devices cover PC, your devices. Cloud app covers what? The cloud applications that you consume. Why identity is actually for you as the user. So it monitors, you can see, monitors and profile user behavior and activities. So it helps to monitor and analyze user activities and information across your network, including the permission that is given to a user, the group membership of that user, and then so it creates what is called a behavioral baseline for each user. So it does what these behavioral baselines actually study how you as a user, you do what? You log in, from which location you log in. So you see, when I say, I was talking about, I'm logging in Lagos, and then in 20 minutes time, they see me in Russia. So this is with Microsoft Defender for Identity. It sends an alert immediately to the administrator and say, oh, he's noticing a risky signing for Olajumoke, because few minutes she was in Lagos and another minute she was in Russia. Probably our account has been compromised. So with that behavioral baseline, because he has already studied my pattern of how I work, what I do, or how I log in, then he can quickly flag you can flag you can flag an alert immediately that something is wrong. So it also what protects user identities and reduce the attack surface. So Defender for Identity gives invaluable insight for identity configuration and suggested security best practice. Then when you have things like suspicious activities and advanced attacks across the cyber attacks key chain, things like lateral movement on your network, compromise the credentials, domain dominance, recognize activities is actually what is going to help you. Then you can investigate alerts and user identity. So Defender for Identity can actually reduce general alert noise. There are false positive also that you can get. You can get all of those positive, false positive, and then all of those noise can be overwhelming. But with Defender for Identity, actually what help you to reduce alert noise, providing you only relevant and important security alerts in a more simple, real-time, organized attack timeline. So you have the Microsoft Defender portal, which is it combines protection, detection, investigation, and response to email, where you have things like incident and alert, action center, threat analytics, secure score, and all of that. And then so we look at the secure score, which is the representation of a company security posture. So oftentimes, when Solomon talked about this. So it's as good as you going to your doctor and say, oh, you want to run some tests, and in your test, the doctor is saying, oh, this is the posture, your health posture this time. So secure score is actually also reviewing the security posture of an organization. So it can tell you that, oh, things that you need to improve on, and then the metrics and trends you can actually do. So it shows all the possible environment of the product, whether the license, edition, the subscription of the plan, and the thing. So you can even have like a standard with other organization of your type, and then look at what is the compliance or let me sit up. I think I will talk about that. So I think I'm going into compliance there. So, but let's just say that it looks at things that maybe in your organization, are all the users using MFA, administrators, are they using MFA, are all your users using MFA, have you turned on your user risk policies and all of that. So just it looks at, and then it recommends for you, and then it gives you score. So the more you close out on all of the recommendations, the more your scores increases. But then if you have not, you will have a very low secure score. Then we talk about Purview compliance, which is Microsoft Purview. Used to be securities, Microsoft Security Center before, if I'm right. I've forgotten the name. So now, but it's called Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal, which actually gives you a view of how the organization is meeting in compliance requirement. And then also it gives you an overview of solutions that can be used to help with compliance and all of that. So this is what it does. The navigation part of it helps you to gives you access to what, to your alerts, to reports, to policies, compliance solution. You can, you can decide to add, this is what you can decide to add or remove option for a customized navigation page. Then you have the compliance manager. Is actually the compliance manager that simplifies compliance and reduce risks by providing. So when people use compliance manager, it is not a rule. Compliance manager is actually like a portal also. So, but what it has is that it has a pre-built assessment based on common standards. So you remember I wanted to say something about standard. So compliance manager is more of a control. Those are what it does. So it looks at other industry like yourself and looks at the control that needs to be in place in those industry. And then it does recommendations. So it gives you an improvement action that you are supposed to follow. Have you implemented DMARC for outbound emails? Are you using information rights management for OneDrive for business? Have you applied sensitivity to your data? Are your data's labeled? Which one is confidential? Which one is general? Which one is legally confidential? All of those things. So that's what compliance manager gives you, and then it also gives you a score. So the key elements to compliance management is control, assessment, templates, and improve actions. So compliance score also, just like secure score, helps an organization understand its current compliance posture, prioritize actions based on their potentials to reduce risks. And then what you can use your compliance score to understand is that actions, your improved actions of the Microsoft actions. So, and then actions types can be mandatory, which means that they can be preventive, detective, or corrective, or they can be discretionary, which could be what, preventive, detective, and corrective. So in chapter 3, in week 3 also, we also look at Microsoft Service Trust Portal, which is a site for publishing audit report and other compliance related information associated with Microsoft Cloud Services. So they are like reports, white paper, and artifacts, industry and regional resources that your organization can leverage on, and then Microsoft will give to you, certification regulations and standard. That is what. Then you as a consumer, Microsoft will also went through that, how you will understand Microsoft privacy principle, that these are the guidelines that covers what Microsoft privacy in principle control. One, Microsoft put the customer in control of their privacy with easy to use tools and clear choices. Transparency, Microsoft is very transparent about data collection and the use that everyone can make informed decision. Security, Microsoft encourage that you protect your data. That Microsoft protects the data that is entrusted to them by using strong security and encryption algorithm. Then we have strong legal protection, which means that Microsoft also respects your local privacy law. And so it is very important. Microsoft does not just release documents, your documents, so except your government requires that they want to see your data, you get. So, but it is not that Microsoft will carry your own data and then go and give it to their own, maybe the region like US. People get the fear is that, in the days they'll say, oh, if you host your data with Microsoft and US government will have access to it. No, it's not true. So if your government requires them to see your data, what will actually happen is that there has to be a legal binding that even you yourself will be aware of. So probably they're investigating someone for terrorism. it will be a very strong reason before they can release the data to your local government, because your local government, your local government law policy still covers you. You get, but it will be on a strong, there will be a lot of legal back and forth, and then you yourself, you'll be aware of it. So no content-based targeting, no, not using your email, your chat files for other personal content to target advertising. Microsoft do not use your content for advertising. And Microsoft does collect data. When they collect data from you, there is what is called telemetry data, where probably maybe they see data about your usage, about how you're consuming the product and all of that. You see, when they release statistics that as at this time last year, this is the number of people consuming Teams. This year, this is the number of people consuming Teams. This is just telemetry data. And then what Microsoft does with those kind of data is used to benefit the customer and to make the experience work better. So you can actually see places where they need to improve. Probably maybe there is less consumption in some of their applications. So Microsoft Preview is actually your privacy risk management. So it's like a dashboard also that provides automatic updates about your data with important trends. And so data profiles provide a snapshot view of the personal data your organization stores in Microsoft M365 and where it lives. So you actually know where your data resides. Then you can actually set up policies that identify previous privacy risk in your Microsoft 365 environment and then enable easy remediation. So that's the end of week 3. Now, the final week, which is week 4, what we did was to describe Microsoft 365 privacy, licensing, billing, and support options. So I think this will be more useful now to Izolua Shegun that asked the question earlier on. So we have pricing models for Microsoft 365 cloud services. So today, if you want to buy Microsoft M365, these are the various ways you can buy Microsoft M365. So you have the cloud solution provider who are called CSP. They are Microsoft partners who are called CSP, and then they can help you to manage your entire your subscription. They can provide you billing and technical support, and then what you do with them is that they provide you as a pay-as-you-go subscription, so you can actually pay per user and per a monthly pricing. Then you can go online and buy your M365 directly, which means you can actually do direct billing. You can buy and pay for your Microsoft 365 subscription with a credit or debit card if you feel you do not want to go, or with a bank account. The other mode for you to purchase Microsoft 365 is enterprise agreement, which is actually designed for organizations that wants to license software and cloud service for a minimum of 3 years period. So what enterprise agreement does is that you will pay for a 3 years period. So you can see this one, cloud solution provider does what you can pay on a monthly basis, but this one is like a 3 years agreement. So the beauty about this is that Microsoft will lock down the price. So let's assume I'm buying M365 this year for $40 per month, and then in a year it is 480, and then next year exchange rates does what increases, or even, and then it fluctuates, increase. That's locked down. That money that has been locked down for me is what I'm going to pay. So for the next 3 years, so it's an agreement. After 3 years is when I can decide whether I want to renew or not. But with CSP, which is a per month, if I buy this month $40, and the $40 in Nigerian money is 28,000 naira, and then next month, the cost has gone. You see, it has gone to $50. I will pay $50 next month. So, but with enterprise agreement, that cost is locked down. And then it is an organization-wide agreement. It's actually for organization, Microsoft, for any organization that is above 500 is who can go in for an enterprise agreement. So you have people of 10,000, 14,000 to 20,000 organization that are doing enterprise agreements, not for small organization. That's why it starts from 500 to 500 upward. Then you can also do a trial. You sign up for a free trial for 30 days. which is one of the things we're using our developers to. Now, to the question that was asked, available subscription plan. So before we start, available subscription plan is that you have subscription for home. You can buy M365 for home. You can buy M365 for education. You can buy M365 for government. You can buy M365 for business and then for enterprise. Now for home, M365 for home bring the same productivity benefits into personal and family life. So if you have family, you can actually buy M365 for home for them. However, sorry. So that's for, you can buy it just for yourself and then just for family. But again, you can buy M365 for education. So for educational institutes, you can buy M365. And this is a lot of things that I have noticed that a lot of our organizations are missing. I mean, educational system in Nigeria is missing. So when you buy M365 for education, it is only what it has 3 subscription plans for faculty and student. So we know that it's only faculty that pays, students don't pay. So how about if we can sell M365 for our educational students, so our students can start using these products and they become job ready. So in Nigeria today, we don't even notice that, but abroad you will find out that all of these solutions are already used in their universities. That's why those children comes out and they are job ready immediately. So Microsoft 365 education is actually for what? For faculty and student. But like I said, most times it is what the faculty that pays and the students enjoy it. So, and then we have Microsoft 365 for government. This is actually for government, and then so one of the is designed for government institution, and there are only two subscription plan. So you find out that Microsoft you have what they call it, China is another place that I know that they have their own Microsoft software that is customized for them. They don't use the same thing as the worldwide and all of that. So then you have Microsoft 365 for business, which is designed for small and medium-sized organizations that have up to 300 employees. So if you have 301, you can't use Microsoft 365 for business. So except your employee is less than or equal to 300, that's when you can have Microsoft 365 for business. And then it has actually for subscription, which you have the basic, the standard. I think we'll go into it. I don't want to crack my head. Okay, so let's look at it right now. So let me first finish. Then we have Microsoft 365 Enterprise, which is designed for organization. It has 3 subscription and 4 subscription for Office 365. So M365 itself has what? 3 subscription for itself and then 4 subscription for Office 365. So let's look at all of this together. I think based on the question. So let me first come to home. So if you look at this is M365 for home, and then you can see that the M365 for home, you have the one for family, where you can buy the one for 99.9 per year. And then for personal, which is just you, this is what you have. So you can see all of the components. You have all the Office apps, and then you can use up to 5 devices simultaneously. You have up to 6 terabytes of cloud storage for your OneDrive for business. Additional features in the family, maybe like mobile app and all of that. But this one, you can see that the one for personal is different. And then for the one for family, if you want to buy for your family, this is just for, you can only have 1 to 6 people. But for the one for personal, is only for 1 person. So that's for home. So let's look at business. Now for business, let me zoom more so that you guys can see. Now for business, you can see that we have, these are the 4 plans we have. We have Microsoft 365 Business Basic. We have Microsoft 365 Business Standard, Microsoft 365 Business Premium, and then Microsoft 365 Apps for Business. This is just apps alone. So you can see what? This is just apps alone. But you can see Microsoft 365 Basic, this is all you have. You can look at it. You can see that you have the applications, and beyond the applications, you have 1 terabyte of cloud storage, you can only have 300 people use it. Then you have M365 Business Standard. Also, you can see that it has more features. It has more components than this. Then M365 Business Premium, you can see this one even have security with it. You can see that it has advanced security. It has access and data control, cyber threat protection. So, but you don't have it in any of standard security is what you have here. So you have a combination of what you're having. So what we normally say is that as the plan goes higher, you have what you have in the previous plan with addition of what you now with the additional features of what you have in the present one. So that's what we normally say. So if you look at M365 Business Basic, when you come to Business Standard, everything in Business Basic is in standard, and then you see everything in Business Basic plus it now says it has a desktop version of M365 apps with premium features. Then when you look at M365 Business Premium, it said everything in Business Standard plus it now has advanced security and all of that. But apps, it is just applications alone. You only have desktop version of Microsoft 365 apps with premium, 1 terabyte of cloud storage, standard security, anytime and phone. So that is what you have. Now, the other question you asked me is that you asked for what they call it for enterprise. So let me see if I can get for enterprise. Okay. So for enterprise, now you see that you have Microsoft 365. So you have this is Microsoft 365. So you have Office 365 E1. So you remember that I said you have this is Office 365 Enterprise. That's the debate. So remember when I was doing the slide says that M365, you have 4 subscription plans for Office 365. So, and these are the 4 subscription for Office 365. So you have Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise, which only just include cloud-based file storage and sharing. And then you have Microsoft 365 E35 E1, which is only for email, file storage and sharing. And then E3 is for this. It contains everything in E1 plus security and compliance. Then E5 is the highest one because it has now voice capability. Now I want to see if you collapse, if you have all of this, you can actually collapse for you to see. So I want to see the one. This is okay. Let me see this. Microsoft 365 for enterprise. Okay, great. So you asked a question on E3, which is also formerly M365 F1. So this Microsoft 365 F3, it is called what? Frontline. It is actually for frontline workforce. And then it has productivity tools, apps, and cloud, and allow them to do their best. So this is, you can see when you go, you can compare everything that each of them has. Then we remember that when we talk about M365, we said M365 has just 3 subscription. And the M365 subscription is what? E3 and E5 and then M365 F3. So F3 is actually for what? For frontline workers. These are the people like your nurse, your firefighter, your people in the hospital, people that are frontline workers anyway. Then you have Microsoft 365 E5, which is higher than E3, everything in E3, and then you have more. You get this is the highest plan of the Microsoft SaaS application plan. So you can actually see all of that. I hope I answered your question. So another thing we looked at.
I'm struggling with the hello.
Yes,
I'm
go ahead,
struggling with
please.
the network.
Oh, okay, but you can always revisit the recording. The recording is made available in our
Hello?
YouTube channel.
I'm struggling with the network. When you reach that point, I could not hear you
Yes, I
very well.
understand. No
I'm
problem.
actually
So, like
trying
I
to
said,
position my
you have access to the recording. It's made available. You can always revisit it. So let's look at the support options we have for Microsoft 365 services. We have community-based support. We have self-help. We have web chat, email, and phone support. We have Q&A forum and online help. We have pre-sales support. We have fast track. Microsoft Unified support. These are higher for enterprise. Microsoft support through a Microsoft partner. Support through a Microsoft partner and Microsoft support and recovery of business assist for M365. And then we have service levy agreements, which describe Microsoft commitment for uptime and connectivity for Microsoft online services. These are things that Solomon touched the last time, where you can actually claim if there is any downtime. For the number of downtime, there's a calculation for it. Microsoft can actually refund you. Maybe if there's any kind of a service loss with it, you can actually claim and then get your money back from Microsoft. But I haven't tried it before, so I don't know whether it's possible. Then you have the option also to share feedback on Microsoft 365 services, which means you can send feedback within the app and feedback within the community and all of that. And that is actually what we ended up with last week. The only Jara, or how will I put it, let me say the toppings I did for you people was to show you, walk you through the M365 environment and show you how you can create users and all of that with your with the Microsoft 365. And then we went through all the different ways you can actually create user. If you want to add user, you have the option for you to create users individually. You have the ways for you to create a user. And again, also, we saw how to upload a CSV file to create a user. So another thing I would also want you to learn, because that was what I wanted to start with, but I think we got delayed also. Another thing I want you to learn is also how we can create users via what they call it, create our users with PowerShell. But I don't want to, I think we will do that in our next call, because I'm saying that the audience I would say start with creating the users manually and also using Excel sheets. I'm looking at your level and I don't want to put you through PowerShell right now. So that people don't get confused and then everything now becomes complicated and it chases you away. So what I would advise is this. Okay, I think this is, so what I would advise is this, just learn how to add users. So if you look at what I taught last week, I taught us how to add users, how we can add a user, just one user, how we can use a template. And then I showed you how we can use different templates and how we can add multiple users. We can add multiple users with what is provided for us with Microsoft, where you can just put all of the names, or you can actually import through a CSV. And I made mention of these important errors that you must avoid when you're creating through a CSV. Most importantly, that your CSV file must have what? A 16 row. And I showed you an example of the template for you to use. So which I shared with all of us last week in the chat window. So I showed us an example of this template. Let me see. So I created last week I shared this in the chat window. So I created names, and then this is name for So it's a CSV file. The display name is important. The username is important. The first name, names, jobs. But if you look at it, these are what 16 columns, because I have A, B, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So if you have your column less than 16, you're actually going to have errors. You will not be able to upload. So if you want to create multiple users, all you need to do is just to export your users. Just create your users the way you want, and then you just export them. I mean, what you also have to bear at the back of your mind is that when you are importing with a CSV, you can only upload up to what, 249. So that's why PowerShell gives you more room for you to do beyond 249. You can actually import as much as 10,000 at once. And then so all you need is to profile the usernames into those CSV, and then we can use a command line. So I would want you guys to go with these, try all of these, create, you can download templates, you can see you can download a CSV file that includes the example the information. Just see how you can do it. And then another thing I showed you last week as Jara is to see how to understand and then assign license. Look at the properties of the users. You can see how to assign license, how you can sign out. If let's assume a user is being compromised, you can actually block out the user from all the session wherever it is signed out. You can sign them out from it, and you can block a sign in for that user just to as a remediation step when everything is being investigated. And then I also showed you how you can add a manager to a user, where you can see this is Adele. I can decide to say I want to add Betty Johnson to be a manager, and then it saves. You get, so the next time I look at who is a manager, I can see Betty Johnson. I can also edit the user and then do what, manage contacts. Then I talked about the license part. Before I go into license, I talked about multi-factor authentication, where it will take you to the multi-factor authentication on Azure, and then you can enable the user for what, multi-factor authentication. So you can see Abimbola Ajayi, I enabled that. All you need to do is select this and then enable the user for what, multi-factor authentication. And then I also said that beyond you creating a user, you can actually create a user on the Azure Admin Center of its own. Okay, no, I don't think this is Admin Center. Okay. So I talk about the Exchange Admin Center where you can create the user, but you will see right now is the M365 Admin Center that we have. So I talked about that last week. And I talk about how you can assign licenses to the users. So you can actually come to the license and assign. You can also be more granular about it and say, oh, even when I want to do M365 developer, but I don't want this user, I don't want him to be able to use. I can deselect all the license, and probably maybe it is Exchange Online alone. Let me see. Exchange Online Plan 2 alone. I want to give the user. I can just give the user just that license that I don't want him to use every other thing. So you can see. And then I talked about the OneDrive for Business for the user, where you can see the storage access, manage the external and all of that, see the storage space. I think lastly, one of the things I said is that how we can see all of the information about this user. So you can actually view the sign-in information of this user for the last 30 days, the activities. But more importantly, where you will see more information, you can see this only shows you that this user signed in successful. But for you to get a more information, you can go to what you can view the report of this user from Azure Active Directory, which will give you a more holistic kind of report that you can use. So I thought about that. While that is loading, another thing I said is that the admin center, if you do show all, you can see other admin centers. So you can see admin centers that are specific to services. You have security, compliance, endpoint, Exchange, SharePoint, Azure Admin Center, Teams Admin Center. So you can actually, so let's go back to that one. So this is the, we said that Azure Active Directory now is now Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So you can see now it is loading for the user. The sign-in logs, every place that the user are signing for the past, and then the status. That one only showed us sources, but you can see this one is giving us more information to show where the user logged in from, the application he logged in from, the IP address, the location, and all of that. Then I can be able to see, when did I log in from this location? Which location is, okay, this is not Ophir. I thought it was okay, so this is okay. So you can show me all of the location I signed in from, the time I signed in, the application I was trying to access, if there is any conditional access that was imputed for me, no conditional, because I didn't set any conditional access and all of that. So you see that this thing gives me, then I can see audit logs also, in case maybe there are logs that I want to get, I want to see logs about, is there any self-service password reset someone that's done? This guy did a self-service password reset. Okay, this. Okay, I updated the user. Now you saw that what I did, Adele was the one I updated. So if I click on this, what was the changes update that I did for the user? It will tell me that the changes that I did was what if you look at it, it means that I assigned what they call it, a manager for if you look at the details very well. Let me see if I can get something that will show that. And then that also I make changes to our license, So a lot of the things is what you can see here. I want to see the part of the let me see, modify properties. Let's see whether it's going to load anything yet. So those are some of the things you can see. And then that is on our Microsoft Azure Entra. If you go to the Exchange Admin Center, you will see the mailboxes. You will see their mailbox, which I spoke about last week. You can see how to convert a mailbox. Maybe somebody is leaving your organization, and I told you that you can see the different kind of mailbox that you can create. You can see when you create when you assign an exchange license, it automatically creates a mailbox of a recipient type, which is what user mailbox. If this person is leaving your organization, and instead of you archiving his mails that is leaving your organization, or you want to delete this account, you can actually convert this to a shared mailbox, which means that you can actually still access all of his emails. A lot of organization people do, admins, let me not say that, a lot of admins do this mistake. What they rather do, instead of converting to, they will delete. And when you delete an account, it has only 30 days for it to stay, except there is a retention or litigation hold policy that you have put in place, which means that every content of that person's email delete. So we delete. So when you have a situation where you have to face auditors in the future, you will now be looking around, or probably maybe it was a mistake, you deleted it in error, and if in 30 days you do not now restore it back, every information of that user that it has gone. So what would normally encourage, somebody leaves your organization, you can convert to a shared mailbox. A shared mailbox do not make use of license. What will happen at the end of the day, anybody that needs to access that mailbox that you've converted to a shared mailbox must have a license to access it. So if I convert Adele Vance to a shared mailbox, Benjamin wants to access all the mailbox information of access, he can still access it. Reason why? Because it has a user mailbox, it has a license to it. So that's basically all that we treated last week. And then now we serve as the end of our session. Yeah, please ensure that you go into the, what they call it, the the YouTube, all of the session has been uploaded there. Ensure that you go in there and then you look through and then you get familiar. And then again, the assessment for last week, I put it there because I wanted all of us to do the assessment. So there is assessment 1, 2, 3 that I've shared with everyone. Please ensure that you finish your assessment, because we are going to be using that to evaluate you and then also see vouchers that will be dishing out to people. So that will be all. Thank you guys for listening. I'm willing to take questions now. So let me see. Do I have any hands raised? All right. I think I have Chioma, Clara Chioma. Your question, please.
Thank you,
And you're
Jumoke.
mute.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm not actually part of this class, but I came online and saw that this class was on. I decided to join. But there was something that you said now that just struck me, and I wanted to ask. You said from the admin side that they can actually see the mailboxes. So my question is this: does it mean that if you are an admin in any company, you can actually have access to the emails of the employees?
Not at all. Not at all. You cannot have
Okay.
access except you have a delegation right. And
Okay.
the delegation right is actually in two ways. So there is a delegation right where you can delegate to say maybe well, I'm coming. Let me see if I can bring up. So as admin, you do not have rights to people's mailbox except you have a delegation right, or you have so there are two types of delegation where you can have a senders right, where you can send as that person, or you can also have the opportunity to add the person's mailbox. So what I meant by shared mailbox is that somebody leaves your organization and is no longer there. At the point where that person leaves your organization, you decided to just disable or you delete the user. Their mails are not archived. So the best you can do is that convert that mailbox, which is everybody that any mailbox that you have, that is any mailbox that you have that is an email account, you can see is always user mailbox. I want to see if there is any mailbox here I can use to convert to so this person leaves your organization quite all right. You convert this person to a shared mailbox. What it means, the word shared mailbox means that any other people that has an email license can access that mailbox, probably maybe for audit purpose, probably maybe you want to be receiving, you still want that mailbox to be receiving emails, but they are not going to be able to send out. So you, this Benjamin, can actually can send us as this mail. So I want to see if I can, now this is me, all right? So you can see, if I have a delegation right like I told you about, I can open another person's mailbox. So except you as an admin has a delegation right. That is when you can open somebody else's mailbox. So I can actually open somebody else's mailbox, and that mailbox will be an EG will be like a shared mailbox, or you see, he's asking me to open another mailbox. But you have to be very careful, and that is where policy is defined in each organization to say who is your exchange. And not anybody can just do it. For you to be able to share somebody's mailbox, it means I'm coming into this person. This is a mailbox of Adele. If I click on it to edit, you see what I said here, mailbox delegation. It means that mailbox delegation, do you see? These are the, if you see my screen, let me see if I expand it very well so that you can see. All right, so this is Adele. Now I've checked on Adele and I have mailbox delegation. So you see the three types of thing I can do with Adele's mailbox. I can send us Adele. So if I do this and I edit, I will add the people that can send us. So it has to be an exchange admin person that will do this. So not just anybody can do it. It will be, so even you can do it if you want to put control in place to say you want to do it in such a way that an approval process goes through, it can go through an approval process. So if I do now and I search for that and I say Olajumoke, it means that I've given Olajumoke, right? I've given Olajumoke, it says that he asked me. It means I've given Olajumoke what? The right to do what? To send us. You see that it has changed and said it has a send us of one person. I can also do, there's a difference between senders and send on behalf. With senders, I will be in Adele's mailbox and I will send as Adele. But send on behalf, it will, when the mail is coming to the recipient, it will show that Olajumoke is sending on behalf of Adele. So there are two different things. I hope you understand. So I can manage the delegation to say, okay, I want it to be sent on behalf. And the last is that, you see, it gives me full access. I can read and manage. So if I do this read and manage, now let's see. And I had myself again. With this, what this one will allow me to say, are you sure you want to add delegation permission for this? Yeah, I said, yes, I want to. What this is I should allow within 5 minutes. You see the option I was showing you that I wanted to add another mailbox that I did, that I open another mailbox. I can actually open this mailbox of Adele, and then I'll just search for Adele here. But like you said, advance, and then I will open the mailbox, for advance, and it will still be. So you can see I can read, and you see who is logged in. Is okay. I can read. So this is actually possible, but it is not anybody that can do it. The reason why I can do this is because I'm a global admin, and I'm also an exchange administrator. So you can even do it in such a way that for you to be able to do this, I will have what is called a form of delegation. You get, this is Adele's mailbox. I can read her mails. Sometimes you can even give delegation based on calendar level. So if you look at PAs in organization, they're actually giving delegation to be able to read their boss's calendar. So they will know when their boss is free or not. So this is the highest, and it's not just anybody that can do it. And then they can't read your mailbox. So let your mind, except there is an audit. This is mostly used when there is an audit purpose in place, when people will require to be able to access. So no fear that anybody can just read your mails. Like I said, the only thing that you need to find, the only thing that is important is that in every organization, you have to be sure that, that's why they said it is role-based. You don't give people just any kind of, maybe because I still have it open. It's still early. So you don't give anybody any kind of, you don't give anybody any kind of role. It is actually very dangerous that you just give people. There are multiple users of group matching there. Oh, sugar. Okay, I think I get what he's saying. Yes, I know the reason why he's saying this. I don't want to give it out yet, because I have two accounts that is bearing that. So you have to bear this at the back of your mind. So who is your global admin today? This is a test environment for me to be able to learn. But in a production environment, definitely for somebody to take over the mailbox of another person would have gone through an approval process from your boss, and probably maybe it is only for audit purpose, especially when you suspect that maybe somebody is using a mailbox for fraudulent activities. You can actually take over their mailbox, or probably maybe the person is out of the organization and you want to be able to manage the mails that are coming in and out. So you have it for different, it can be for audit, it can be for compliance, it can be for administrative purpose, it can be for the person went on leave and then you have access because you guys are doing the same thing. So it can be for different reasons, but then it will be a well defined. That's why for every organization, there has to be a policy that is defined. Clara, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
All right then. So that will be all, guys. Does anyone have question? If none, please. This recording will be made available in the YouTube. I'm so sorry. I know the reason why I'm having a low turnout. I've been in transit, so I've been quite very tired, so I couldn't have the session for 10 o'clock. And I know that's why I have a low turnout here. If not, I would have had more people come in here. So people should bear with me. Last week also, I think that was the same thing that happened. You guys